Okay, let's talk about price. I mean, if there's anyone listening right now that's in, maybe kicking around the idea of, opening up a cable, what does it look like maybe to get a new one and then a used one? Obviously, there's a lot of variability here, but
yeah, I think I haven't priced a new one in a while. I was the Rickson rep for many, many years, and really through a sequence of events, and particularly right around COVID, we kind of separated ways, and that was probably best for everybody. But I'm guessing they're probably going to retail for somewhere around $400,000 now for the cable system installed, give or take, maybe a little bit more. And then you got your anchors and some of the other stuff, which is you're going to have on any. So I think, there's used cables out there. If you want to call me today, could put you in one for, $125 and a good used one. Yeah. A good 6 tower with good American electronics, the best kind ever. Tim Hamilton would love me for saying that. That was he was a big game changer in our whole deal. We redid the electronics in the U.S. and that was such a huge improvement. So yeah, it's. if anybody wants to do it, let's do it.
Okay, so I guess run through now what you're doing, because you just mentioned, if you want to buy a used cable,
so
hit me up. So.
I have gotten out of park ownership. I do a variety of different things, but I still love being involved with the cable parks, and it's something that I will do as long as people want me around. I've got a handful of parks that I do staff training with. I do maintenance support. I still sell used equipment from time to time as it comes available. And, I've still stayed active with WSIA and trying to keep things engaged there and really just hopefully weathering the storm of kind of, we just haven't built a new cable anywhere in the U.S. in a long time. I think the last one was Elevated as far as I know.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that's sad. I mean, that just, we didn't have any cables. Then we went through a run of adding a lot of cables. And now we're losing more than we're putting up. So I'm happy to talk to anybody about changing that trend. And sadly, it does take money. I always tell people it takes three things: money, land, and perseverance. And I usually get people that I've dealt with over the years that have 2 out of 3. They've got the money, but they don't have the land, or they got the money and then they lose the land, but they lose interest. It takes somebody really having to want to do it. And, I think there's ways that we can make it more attractive now in terms of adding amenities. The aqua parks have been a fantastic addition to the wake parks to bring in more revenue and to broaden the client base. But I think, so my role is, it's great. I'm very fortunate that I work with some parks and can provide service and kind of share some insight. And there's a lot that I just, even though I don't work for them, I'll take anybody's call. And if you ever have a problem, I'll be happy to give you my opinion. And if I don't know what the answer is, I'll call Potter.
And he'll say, "What do you want, Mike?"
Like you again.
Okay. I think now's a good time to talk about. So there were cables popping up.
Yeah.
Quite often. I'd say 1, 2 year, maybe more for a few years.
Oh, for several more than that. Yeah. We had some big years.
So I guess 2-part question. One, why was that happening at that time?
So I think when you look at kind of when things really ignited, it was about 2008, 2009 when the boat industry hit the wall. That was when the finance rates got insane, the boat inventories got out of whack. And I think the industry kind of looked how are we going to grow. And I think, I would say it was that, along with the fact that some of us were building parks and operating parks, and they had something to see. And for the first time, starting in 2008, I was a sales rep for Rickson. Pat was a sales rep for Cessatec. So we had people actually out here actively doing it. And Pat did an amazing job of getting the visual stuff out there. Honestly, he did so much, where mine was more the grinding and dealing with the day-to-day stuff. I think Pat was doing events, putting the 2.0 out there, putting in all kinds of places and just really doing tremendous things to grow the sport. And I think that really, to his credit, did a wonderful job with that. And so I think, like I say, that and I think the whole, let's say the introduction of the 2.0, of the two-tower system.
Huge.
Because that, somebody for $20,000 or $30,000 or whatever it was could throw some in their backyard more or less and get it going. And I think if you look back, there were several places that maybe started with a 2-tower and then went on to build a full-size cable.
Yeah, Action Wake Park was that kind of story too. And I'm sure that's a lot of other parks like that to kind of do a proof of concept. West Rock was also one of those to do a kind of a proof of concept to see.
And neither of those guys bought cables from me.
They did both.
And it kills me because I like both their parks a lot. I was at Action a couple weeks ago. I'm like, damn, I wish I'd sold this one. So yeah, I don't hold grudges though anymore. I used to.
Just for a little bit. It wears off after time. Okay, so then what do we think, or what do you think, kind of led to a decline and some closing of parks?
I think with so many things, and the thing that really is challenging about this is people are enthusiasts that do this a lot of times. And, there's a difference between a hobby and a job and a business. And I think we had people that were genuinely great people that were excited about the sport that maybe didn't put together the best business plans, maybe didn't come in with enough financing, maybe didn't pick the best spots. That's all part of the equation that really is challenging. And management is a big part of it. Marketing, a mistake I saw a lot of people make is you put together your budget for the cable park and you're like, okay, this is for the equipment, this is for the building, this is for whatever else. And then suddenly, you've got this marketing budget, like you've got X number of dollars towards marketing. And what happens is you start building, and as you're building, people come out and say, this is the coolest thing. You're going to be so busy. You're never going to, you're just going to be swimming in money. And you're like, yeah, you're damn right I am. And then you start getting into maybe some cost overruns on your building. And you're like, well, we'll just take that out of the marketing budget because we don't need to market because everybody's going to come out here. So by the time you've opened the door, you've probably under budgeted all your capital expenses and you've blown your marketing budget on the capital expenses. So you're just going with the deal like, hey, we're here, come see us. And the 12 people who told you that was awesome are there, and they didn't bring any of their friends because wakeboarders never bring their friends. So that I think is a big challenge. And I think I look at the ones that did really well in time and those that had really good marketing plans that were capitalized, that built nice facilities and understood that, the whole future is built on bringing in new people and making an environment that is really accommodating for that. And I saw that like when Cincinnati opened, Pete did a fantastic job of marketing, and that's what really impressed me right off the bat with him. They were packed right off the bat. I've seen other ones that just stumble into opening, and they kind of, people that are going to pay real money like finished products. They don't want to. The mom doesn't want to use a porta potty when she comes out at the cable park. She's going to do that once, and then she's going to be like, I'm not taking you out there anymore. So like simple things like that, just as obvious as that seems, we didn't always do that. We didn't always have parks that were nice venues to go sit and watch. People didn't spend money on shade or, making it comfortable for the moms who ultimately are the ones that are writing the checks or running the credit card or whatever the case. Yeah. So that, it's disappointing. And sometimes I can look at just about everyone that isn't there and can tell you what went on, and each had their own variables, but I think it is a little more complicated than meets the eye. And I think it is great, when you see some of these new age ones or the newer ones, like Nona over here, that's a fantastic site. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's very comfortable. You got great seating. You got multiple things for the family to do. The cable park is just one of many features. So I think that model there, maybe on a little bit lower budget, would be amazing. I don't know that you need that nice of a building, but having just a very relaxing, comfortable place where the family likes to go, that's a big part of it.
Make it somewhere, make it a destination people want to go to, look forward to going to.
I mean, we could go out in the middle of the desert and have a rock piled shithole, and wakeboarders would come if there were enough features there, but that's all you're going to get. We need the whole thing, and I think that's that's always kind of a challenge when we deal with these wake parks is, we understand that if it weren't for the core riders, we wouldn't probably exist. They are so valuable to us. But by the same token, we have to always bring new people in. And sometimes you get in these territorial battles where they don't want the cable to run slow for half the day. But we have to get the beginners in. I mean, it's a challenge. And I always try to say, hey, you've got 2.5 months a year, you're going to have to give us some slack because that's how we pay for it to make it to where you can ride the other months for an affordable cost. Yeah. Because if we didn't do that, you're not going to spend $5,000 on a pass. That's just not probably what you're going to cough up. So that is always the challenge, is trying to balance that out. And like I say, I understand where they're coming from, but that's just part of the deal. That's just,
it's a business. I mean, at the end of the day.